most people say they would be dead or in prison. For me, I wouldn't even be here. I'd be dead for the things that was going on at that time. I wouldn't even be here.
What's up, everybody? This is Timothy Rhyme, and welcome back to Grown Man Sessions, where we aim to empower and inspire one story at a time. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this interview, and I really hope you like it. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much. And if you can, please hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified when we release new content. On this episode, I'll be talking to my boy, Tone Byers. Tone is a former gang member and drug dealer who was able to find a new path by joining the Marines. Tone has done everything from door-to-door sales to working for the Department of Defense. If that's not enough, during a major surgery, Tone died on the operating table but was revived. And luckily, he's here to share his amazing story with us. So without further ado, let's get this thing going. So it's kind of crazy how life has turned out for me. Like there's people along my journey that I've met that I remember, and I'm like, man, like there's a reason why you look back and you're like, there's a reason why I ran into that person. You know what I mean? It's not anybody that you had like a huge relationship with or like got to do a lot of things with, but for some reason they stood out and they stayed in your life and they stayed in your universe, and they come back for a reason. And I think that's what my next guest is, man. My next guest name is Tone Byers. What's up, Big Tone? How you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Yeah, thank you for making some time. Yeah, Grown Man Sessions, bud.
Represent, yes, sir.
Yeah, get it at the on the website. But yeah, man, me and Tone, we crossed paths a long time ago, and we always, for whatever reason, just stay connected. And having started this platform, Grown Man Sessions, I reconnected with Tone, and having learned his story, I was like, man, like he's a perfect guest, because his story is very inspiring from where he's been to where he is now. So let's get into it, Tone. So tell us a little bit about like your beginnings, man. Like where did you grow up, and how was it like for you as a young Tone?
So when I grew up in North Highlands. Most people want to say that's like the next worst little town next to Del Paso Heights, right? In all of Sacramento. So, sometimes I feel like I shouldn't even claim that I'm from there because it's kind of like a trashy place to be right now. But I grew up in North Highlands. I actually grew up around, Highlands was, I guess, like a lot of Crips and stuff at the time growing up. I actually lived right next door, right down the street of one of the main crack houses in all of Sacramento growing up. So I would see a lot just on my block, but what I also knew is, my grandparents' house was one of the first houses built in North Highlands. So a lot of people respected them. So, nothing's ever happened to their house growing up my whole life, not even, anything. Like no one's thrown a rock at that house and I felt like we were always kind of protected because everybody knew who we were. It was one of the first families in that neighborhood. And so even the gangbangers and drug dealers kind of like respected that. I seen a lot of stuff happen on that block growing up. I watched, a pregnant woman get ran down right on the corner, by her man. I seen another old man that used to sit out in front of his house across the street on Gilman Way. He just blasted his son with a shotgun. I've had guns pulled out on me. I just seen a lot of that stuff growing up. And so, obviously when you grow up in a neighborhood like that, you kind of start picking up and doing all the same things everybody else is doing. So I gangbanged for quite a while. As a youngster, I started pretty young. I say I started banging probably when I got into junior high, going into high school. I was probably one of the only Northerners in all of Highlands. Back then, Highlands was predominantly a black school. So I grew up with a lot of black folks. So you might hear that when I talk, comes out a little bit because that's just who, my best friend's black. Like everybody I know, that I'm close to is usually a black African American or whatever. But I get along with everybody, man. What's crazy about me though is I kind of got out of the gang banging thing and kind of went into like selling drugs, and so banging wasn't really a thing for me. Some things happened during that time where my cousin did something to some people, and because I was known and me and him were really tight, we were more like brothers. I was kind of like was brought into that same situation, and so when he went to prison, it kind of made my life worse. Everywhere I was going, I was getting shot at. They knew who I was, and so it got to a point where I wasn't even banging. I was just drug dealing just to kind of like survive and do my own thing. And then it just got to the point where it got so bad where I just had to leave Sacramento, man. So when I left, I ended up joining the Marine Corps after I graduated. But it wasn't a normal like enlistment though. I had like a felony as a juvenile, because I got caught with some stolen weapons that I had robbed out of a house and tried to sell. At the time, I don't think that they knew that how I got them or whatever. They just confiscated them. And anyways, I got put on probation and did a little bit of juvie time or whatever. Nothing real crazy, but it was a felony on my record. And so I had to wait a whole year on the delayed entry program just to go into the Marine Corps. And so, but what I can tell you guys is, most people say they would be dead or in prison. For me, I wouldn't even be here. I'd be dead. For the things that was going on at that time, I wouldn't even be here. And it was crazy because when I got into the delayed entry program for the Marine Corps, it was like I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was getting in more trouble while I was in the delayed entry program than I was before I was in the delayed entry program trying to go in the Marine Corps. And I almost lost my chances of going in the Marine Corps. If it wasn't for my recruiter, man, just totally having my back, I probably wouldn't be here for sure. So I'm very grateful to join the Marine Corps and have them take care of some of my legal issues, because they basically got that felony expunged from my record and was able to accept me into the Marine Corps. And then I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps, which pretty much changed my whole life.
So you think that was like the pivotal moment in your life where your trajectory just turned from how you just said like you probably wouldn't even be here to now like being where you are now?
Definitely. So I was that gangbanger though before the Marine Corps that creased my Dickies and my Ben Davises and put the 4 creases in the back even and all that stuff, and just really was prided myself in everything. So I've always been kind of like OCD perfectionist type guy. And so when I got in the Marine Corps, I wanted to be the best Marine when I was in there, and it's crazy because, if any of you out there have like any type of fears, whether it's claustrophobia or like the fear of heights or anything like that, you will definitely get over that type of stuff in the Marine Corps. So for me, it was like heights. What's crazy when you're going in the Marine Corps and you're going through that type of training, you just see kids like your age just doing things that, you don't think that you see yourself doing. But when you see this nerdy kid doing it, you're like, well, wait a minute, if this nerdy ass kid can do it, I can do it. So when it came to the heights, it's like I didn't even have to, like, I didn't even fear it. I just seen somebody else doing it that I at least thought I was better than them. So I just did it. And in turn, I ended up overcoming like my fear of heights, so you'll be amazed at what you could do when you really kind of don't have a choice, or when you see other people doing something that you look at that person and be like, he don't even look like he would want to do something like that, but he's doing it. What's stopping me from doing it? And so that's kind of like from learning that in boot camp alone, I was just like, man, I can apply some of that same type of control of my thoughts and my fears, on anything. If I can do it in there, I can do that anywhere. Yeah. So that's kind of how my approach was. Once I, got out of the Marine Corps, I spent 8 years in there. And like I said, I was a perfectionist and I was super OCD. So I had to have the shiniest boots. I had to have like cardboard creases in my in my uniform. Like I really prided myself on just looking, the very best in uniform. And it's kind of sad because they kind of took some of those things away from the Marine Corps. As I was getting out, they transitioned to like, wrinkle-free uniforms where you didn't have to iron them. You no longer spit shine your boots. They were going with the suede leather and stuff. So a lot of that pride kind of went away in the Marine Corps a little bit. So I think it took a little bit of pride of today's Marines. But I held myself to a really high standard, man. But what it did afford me to be able to travel. I've been to Africa, I've been to Japan, I've been to, Alaska, and I've been a lot of places in the United States, pretty much almost every state I think I've been in, except for like New York and some of the smaller East Coast states, but I've pretty much been everywhere else.
I think that's a big part, man. Like what you just said about the Marines in general, or just like the military in general. Because I've heard this from other friends that joined the military.
Yeah.
Is being a kid from like a neighborhood that isn't that great, or has a lot of poverty or problems or gangs or whatever. A lot of kids don't tend to like be able to see outside of their neighborhood. But as soon as they're able to like see what it's like in the other parts of the world, like their whole mind changes. Like they see different possibilities, they see different opportunities. Did that happen to you?
1000%, man. You know what really got me when I was on the streets before I joined the Marine Corps, and what really, I don't think some of you guys, if you are gangbanging, that you don't realize, people know what you're doing and they know who you are. There was a situation at one point where I was at a friend's house, and I had a friend talking to some female on the line, and he was like, come over, come and kick it, whatever. And I guess he was talking crap to her dude, right? And anyways, this girl ended up coming over. Well, her dude followed her over to where we were at. And the dude, we didn't know who this dude was. You know what I mean? And he pulled up and he's like, tell your boy talking all that crap to come out, come see me. We're like, what? And then, so me and a couple other homies went out there and we're like, well, who are you? And he was like, this is who I am. He's a Northerner, I'm a Northerner, but he need to come out and see me. He's going to talk all that stuff. Well, let's see what he's about, blah, blah, blah. Just normal Sacramento, tripping stuff. But come to find out, he was a friend, or he was a brother to a bigger homie that I knew. But what was crazy is I knew this guy from nowhere. You know what I mean? But this fool started saying, oh, I know who you are. You're so-and-so. And your cousin so-and-so, and your brother so-and-so, and you live at this address. And he knew my address, bro. And
wow.
I was like, wow, what the hell? And that's how you kind of know that you're in deeper than what you probably think you are. So if you think that you just out there and you just, trying to make a name for yourself, oh yeah, you're making a name for yourself, but you're probably making a name for yourself to them fools in prison. And they know who you are and they know what you're doing. The other shocker to me is I was at another event, and then one of the big homies just got out of prison, right? They keep tabs on everything that you do when you involved in that type of stuff, man. So I remember him getting out. He just got out the prison that day, right? Well, I guess he heard that I was selling drugs, right? Like not little drugs. I was selling pounds. I used to own my own pool hall over there on Fulton and Auburn. It used to be Steamboat Byers. I used to own that, and I was only like 16 years old. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and if you would have went there back in the early 90s, man, all you would see is like lowriders and homies like they're kicking it, and it was just me and all my friends was partying there all the time. I was hardly in school. But yeah, when all that happened, and I was, he came out to, we were at some like FM 102 event at Cal Expo, and he come up to me and he was like, hey homie, I heard you've been, moving some weight. And I was just like, what? And dog, I had already stopped like a year prior, because I stopped I pretty much gave up the drug dealing game a year before I went into the Marine Corps. I let go of everything. I sold all my gold chains, sold all my rides. I sold everything, got rid of everything I had, because I was like, I'm gonna change my life. I gotta get out of SAC. And so when he hit me up, I was looking, I'm like, how the hell you know this? You know what I mean? He goes, yeah, can you plug me, homie? I was like, hey bro, I don't do that no more. And he just looked at me, you don't? I was like, nope, I just quit. I just recently stopped. I just like gave it all up. And what was crazy, I never got caught. Thank God I never got caught with anything. The only time I did get caught is when I was doing smaller like increments of methamphetamines. And it was funny because that one time I got caught, they took me down to the Garfield office, the sheriff's office right there, and had me in a questioning room. And they ended up letting me go. But the cop goes, man, if I ever catch you with anything, he goes, I know you're a drug dealer. If I ever catch you again, he goes, you're going away for a long time. And it was crazy because I didn't even heed what he said, man. Like literally the next day, my boy that was giving me the stuff wouldn't give me anything because he's like, where's my stuff at? And he thought I snitched because they let me go. And I was like, I didn't snitch, but they took your stuff. You know what I mean? So I cut him out and I went straight to the dude I knew he was getting it from. And that fool just started giving me pounds, man, right off the bat. You know, and from there, it was just crazy. And I was young, bro. I was only like 15, 16 years old, moving weight.
Damn.
Like it was crazy, man. So I mean,
It really sounds like the military really did save you, bro. Like from like either like you said, death or jail, man. Because it sounded like one of them was coming.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the one thing that really changed my life a lot, the one that made me really pivot is, you know, I told you my cousin did something to some people and I was getting shot at everywhere I was going. Well, prior to that even happening, they shot up my daughter's house and there were bullet holes above her crib. So had she set up when that was going on, my daughter wouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? God. And so that's where I was like, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? And I'd actually left and moved out of state for a while. And then things didn't work out with me and my daughter's mom, and I ended up moving back. And then that's when I started selling, you know, getting big into the drug game and doing stupid stuff. And then, you know, I would be going places and I would run into these fools, and then they'd try to shoot at me and catch me at clubs and stuff like that, you know?
So Tone, after all the, you know, the street life, the military, tell me how were you able to, like, you know, turn your life around after you came home though? Because I've also heard stories of people that went into the military, came home and then continued to do the same things. Right.
So, you know how I was telling you, I traveled a lot, like Africa, Japan, and stuff like that. So I deployed to Africa. It was probably my best deployment the whole time I was in the Marine Corps. And anyways, one thing I always go back to when I ever feel like, you know, I got it bad, or, you know, because some of our problems, you know, first world problems ain't nothing compared to third world problems. You know what I mean? And that was probably my biggest lesson. So I remember we flew into Africa, and we fly into the Kenyan airport, and all the Air Force and Army, they on the tarmacs living in tents, bro. So I'm thinking, oh man, we about to live in these tents. We about to be living hard life right now, you know? And but that wasn't the case. So we got in these little vans and we started like we went like 4 hours to wherever we were going to through Africa. And we're going through like these little roads and all these little towns, bro. I'm talking like the worst poverty you could ever imagine in your life. Like what you see on TV isn't nothing compared to what you see in real life. I'm talking about, I'm talking like 5-6-year-olds walking around with AK-47s, bro. Like that type of stuff. And and they're so poor, man. Like they don't have clothes. They don't even have shoes on their feet, right? And I remember a couple of the Marines were making fun of the people in one of the villages we were going through. And I was like, hey man, don't be talking crap about these people, man. They didn't choose to be here or be born here. You know what I mean? And as I said that, I remember looking out the window and I see this lady, right? She has basically no top on, just a little thing covering just her bottom half, and then no shoes. And she has I guess a water vase on her head. Was in all of the poverty behind her, little kids, starving kids and all that, this girl had the biggest smile on her face, bro. And I thought to myself, how could you be in the middle of all this like starvation and poverty and disease? Like I felt like if you just stepped out the bus, you'd catch malaria. That's how bad it was. And they had us popping malaria pills while we were there too, by the way. But I thought, wow, this girl has a smile on her face, regardless of everything else that's going around her in her world. And I thought, like, man, I could never say I have it bad, man. I could never say that. You know what I mean? To know that you can be in the midst of so much bad things around you and still have like the biggest smile on your face. That was just, I will never forget that, man.
I have a tattoo on my arm right here. You can't see it, but it says "Hell on Earth, Heaven in My Mind." And I totally understand what you're saying, because when I was coming up, man, like I felt like I had it really rough. But for whatever reason, man, like no matter how hard it got in my mind or like around me, like I always was able to like stay positive and like just like keep smiling and just find the good in things. And I've always, I don't know what it was, man. Like I was just always able to just have that mentality. And now I try to impart that on my kids, man. Like no matter how hard it gets, like there's always something to be grateful for. There's always somebody else that has it worse. There's always going to be people that have it better, but there's always going to be people that have it worse too. So like
Always,
just like
always.
just like you're saying, man, like I mean it's such a big lesson to learn, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's just some of the things that I learned when I was in the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? Like just traveling and having the opportunity to see third world countries and other cultures. It's very different than what we have over here. And the fact that we complain about some of the dumbest things. I mean, some of the things after I got out of the Marine Corps and I went to college, obviously, and that's when I met you at Sac City College. Doing your performance over there, and I was doing the music game at that time. And so some of the things after I went to college and after I was doing door-to-door sales and stuff like that, and then finally running my business, a lot of my experiences, like I was telling you earlier, like I used to do my meetings with in the mornings, because I felt like a lot of the things that happened to me in life would motivate and, give positive vibes to people and motivate them to go out there and do better for themselves. And it really has. A lot of things that I learned has really just been game changers for me personally. And when I started running my own business, when you're running meetings every morning, you had to find like things to talk about, man. You had to really like go outside the box and outside your comfort zone sometimes to find motivational or positive things to talk about, to get your guys to want to work for you sometimes. And so one thing that
Yeah, that's
we
not easy.
incorporated, yeah. And so one thing what I started incorporating a lot that I learned from mentors that taught me in running my business was reading books. That's one of the things that I've never been really good at. I'm that guy that can start reading a book and fall asleep in like 10 minutes, 30 minutes. But, now, now I don't. Now I don't know why, but I know I'm able to sit there and, read a few chapters and not fall asleep, and then actually learn and get something from it and take notes and all that stuff. And so I took a lot of what I learned in the Marine Corps as far as my leadership skills and things like that, because you're going to definitely get those types of things. I would just say for anybody out there that's doing bad, if you got a clean record and you can do something with your life, the military is probably the best stepping stone you could do for yourself. If you ain't got nothing else going on and you got at least a clean record, I would just tell you, join the military, man. At least you're taken care of. And even if you don't like it, just do your 2 years, 4 years and get the hell out. Don't stay in there and keep doing it if you don't like it. Because I know for me, the Marine Corps is a very different branch of service than all the rest. There is no gray area. It's either you love it or you hate it, period. And, and there was a lot of cats when I was in there where they were just doing dumb stuff to get out. They would like, smoke weed or say that they're gay or something stupid just to get out the military. It's like, why are you going to ruin 4 years of your life and get a dishonorable discharge for doing something stupid? Just do your 4 years, get out. You got an honorable discharge and anybody will hire you. You know what I mean? Like I have so many opportunities because I did it, did my time in service honorably. You know what I mean? I mean, you got so many advantages. I mean, and at the very least, you get out, you can claim whatever disabilities. They'll pay you for the rest of your life. You'll have free medical for the rest of your life. You'll have a VA loan you can use at any time in your life. That's one thing I haven't used is my VA loan. But I mean, there's so many things and opportunities that you get from that. And I would just say, if you out there, you struggling and you could do anything with your life, man, throw your ass in the military, man. You do all right,
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits that come along with it.
A lot of benefits, man.
So Tone, aside from being curious for knowledge and hungry for knowledge and reading, what do you think is one of the biggest lessons you've learned throughout your journey?
Biggest lessons? So one of the lessons that I learned, and this is probably going to have to do with more with the relationships, because I've been married twice and been through it pretty rough. And, I would say, You don't have to marry somebody to show somebody you love them. And you don't, and the biggest lesson I learned is, if you love somebody, love them and don't expect anything back in return, man. Because the minute you start expecting something back in return, that's when everything's going to go south. Because on my second marriage, man, I felt like I would just and I spent a lot of money on this woman and her kids and stuff like that over the 9 years I was with her. And at the end of the day, it was a waste of 9 years, man, because the more I did, the more I pushed her away. And, if you're that guy that's be like, I love you, and you expect her to say it back, and they don't, like, you're not giving it freely. You're saying it and you're expecting something in return. You know what I mean? And if you're having to force someone to tell them that they love you back, man, that's not love.
Yeah,
if they're going to say it, they're going to say it. So I would just say, as far as relationships, that was my biggest lesson in relationships. As far as life, you know what I mean? Me, I'm very competitive. I like to win. And if I'm not winning, I'm learning at the end of the day. And I've learned a lot.
I like that.
And I've learned a lot. And I have a lot to share with people. When I'm running my business, reading a lot of these books, learning from a lot of these authors and these motivational speakers, man, I've been fortunate, like I was telling you earlier, to see people like Les Brown. If you guys don't know who that is, you can look him up on the internet, meet him in person, hear him speak in person. There's a few other ones that I've seen and got the opportunity to see as well, that were just great motivational speakers, man. And I would say, for someone that, don't necessarily think positively on a day-to-day basis, I think the best thing you could do for yourself is, man, go on YouTube, go on the internet, find videos, listen to motivational speakers, there's all kinds of it on the internet, and it's free game.
Listen to Grown Man Sessions.
Yeah, listen right here. Listen to Grown Man Sessions podcast, man. Like, this is what's going to inspire you and motivate you, because sometimes you can't get it from within yourself, man. You have to get it from another place. And so I've learned, like, I can't always get it from myself. As motivated as I am to just, get stuff done and, and be on top of my game, like, I still sometimes need some motivation and help from somewhere else. And I'll tell you right now, like, when I ran my business, like I said, you can only think of so much stuff to talk about on a day-to-day basis. And I ran meetings 7 days a week, man. And sometimes twice a day, because I had a first shift, a second shift, and stuff like that. And I had, like, anywhere from 5 to 25 people, 30 people working for me at any given time. And so when I'm giving those meetings, man, I had to find, some sources to speak about things, you know what I mean? And so one of the ones I would suggest, and I did bring a book, this one right here, I don't know if you guys can see that. This is by Shad.
What to say when you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
This right here was a game changer for, like, my whole business. Okay, so we kind of did like a sales business is what it was. It was like a marketing firm is what I ran for about 5.5 years. And so this book talks about, what you say when you talk to yourself. Why do you think the way that you think? And let me give you a good example. So, like, if you on the freeway, right, and someone cuts you off, and then you just start cussing them out, going off, right? You're wasting all this negative energy on this person. Well, do you ever think that person that just passed you by didn't even know that they even did that to you? And they're happy-go-lucky on their way to work, but yet you just let that moment affect your whole day, and you're just hella pissed off for the day, but yet that person just got the best of your whole day. You don't even know who the hell they were. And they just ruined your whole day. You see what I'm saying? So when you think about the things you allow to happen in your life and the way you react to them, man, and you could, and a book like this can change those thoughts. Like, this is game right here, man. And so in sales, man, you get a lot of negativity people, you know what I mean? Oh, I don't want to talk to you, right? And they kind of nag you out over time, because if you constantly sitting there trying to pitch somebody a product or a service and you keep getting them hard nosed, no, I ain't got time, find a real job, they telling you all this crap, how do you keep your mental game? You know what I mean? Some people just don't have that. They get negged out so easily, and then they like, oh, I gotta take a break, or I can't do this job because it's just too mentally strenuous for me, right? And this is how I got mentally strong, man. A lot of reading, a lot of dealing with people, and over time with that experience, man, you're only going to get better at reading people. You're only going to get better at finding good people too. You know, I would always say, you know, if you hang out with 5 druggies, you know, you're going to probably be a druggie. If you hang out
You're the
with 5
sixth.
successful people, yeah, you're probably going to be a successful person. You know, I say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. We used to say that all the time. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Because who you hang around with ultimately is who you're going to end up being. If that's all you hang around constantly every day, if that's what you're doing, smoking weed and hanging around all day, that's all you're going to do with your life. I got friends that are still doing the same thing from when I left in the Marine Corps. And they ain't had no real job. They ain't done nothing with their life. They don't even have a car, shit like that, you know?
Yeah, man. I remember when I was young, man, I got locked up for something dumb. And I remember my cellie, he was telling me, he was a really good dude, and he kept telling me, Tim, he's like, tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are.
Yep. Exactly.
I never forgot it, because like when I got out, I was like, because I was looking at some serious time, but luckily I was able to, you know, not have to do the time. And I just never forgot it. I was like looking at everybody, like, you know, I was like examining everybody that I was around. Like, I don't want to be around this dude, that dude, this dude. I got to do something different. And now, man, look at me now. Like, you know, what, 20 something years later, you know, I'm a college grad. I got a CPA, you know, and anything's possible. You know, like I'm a firm believer, man, that if you finally, like how Tone is saying, I'm a firm believer that if you can change the way that you think and the way that you talk to yourself and the way that you process things that happen to you, you can do anything. Because we are like our childhoods, no matter who, like where you grow up, rich, poor, good neighborhood, bad neighborhood, we're all programmed by our childhoods. But as we get older, it's up to us to either deprogram that or reprogram that. So you have the ability to do that, like Tone is saying, with a book like that. Because for me, like it's all about what I tell myself. It's all about the way that I'm talking to myself. That's going to be the direct reflection of how I talk to Tone, how I talk to the next man on the street, how I talk to my wife, how I talk to my kids. It all starts with how I talk to me. So I firmly believe what you're saying, man. Tone, thank you so much for joining us today. Before you go though, would you be able to offer some advice to any youngsters out there that might, you know, be going through some difficult times?
So one thing that always stuck with me, man, your last mistake is your best teacher, man. Your last mistake is your best teacher. And you'll make a lot of them. You know what I mean? The key is not to make that same mistake twice, man. You know, and I think if you stay not making those mistakes over and over again, you're going to become a better person. You know, over time, it's just inevitable that it's going to happen that way. Everything's mentality, man. It's mentality at the end of the day.
You said something not too long ago. You said that you're a very competitive person and you like to win. But you said that when you lose, you learn. And I've heard this from very successful people. I've heard this from athletes. I've even heard this from interviews on like Kobe and Michael Jordan, how they say that they don't understand what losing means. He said, I either win or I learn.
Yep.
He said, it's not a loss. It's only a loss if you take it as a loss.
Yep.
Because there's a gem. There's something to take away from everything.
Yeah. I mean, if losses are mistakes too. Like I said, your last mistake is your best teacher. Because when you make the mistakes, you don't know what you did wrong. If you never make a mistake and you're always perfect, you're never and when you do lose, you're gonna take it hard because you don't even know what that feels like. You don't even know what that looks like. But if you're able to, you know, make a mistake, see what you did wrong, learn from it, and move on and become a better person because of it. That's why mistakes are important to make, you know, because some people are so afraid to make mistakes. It's like when you start a brand new job, you know what I mean? It's like you're so scared to mess up, but it's okay to mess up. Sometimes you got to dive in and to see what your real capabilities are. You know what I mean? Because you sometimes don't even know. It just goes back to my boot camp time. You know, sometimes I wasn't the greatest swimmer, but when I got in the swimming pool, shoot, I was swimming for my life. I was a better swimmer than what I thought I was. You know what I mean? But it took me diving in to really know what I was capable of doing. And if I was really scared, or was it just a mental block? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's a mental block, man. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I made a song called Jump, and it says, all you got to do is jump, take a leap, and trust that you'll land on your feet. All you got to do is jump, tell them snakes goodbye. I'm gonna teach you how to fly. Because I firmly believe, man, as long as you just take that jump, man, like you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn how to figure it out. It's
Yep.
just like you said, man. You can't be scared. You can't be nervous, and you can't hold yourself back because the one of the best sayings that I ever heard that I'll never forget is that success lies right outside of your comfort zone.
Yep.
So if you're always comfortable, you're not doing something right. Like you got, even when you become successful, there's going to be a time where that's going to become comfortable, and you got to keep
Right.
pushing yourself, because a little bit of discomfort is always a good thing.
Yep. If you never move, you're always going to stay in the same place where you're at. If you never make a move, you have to make that move, whether you're scared, you fear it, because you're not allowing yourself to go outside the box or think outside your own comfort zones. You know what I mean? The one thing I always told myself growing up is like, and it wasn't nothing against fast food, you know what I mean? But I always like, I'll never work fast food, because I just held myself to that higher standard. I was like, I'll never do fast food. You know what I mean? And I never had to, thank God. But it's like, and everything that I've done since I left the Marine Corps, I've always made more money. Every step I've always made more money, and I never had a gap in my cash flow. So every time something happened to me in life where I had to move on, I made sure that the next step was already there, to where I never missed a beat. Like my money always continued to come in no matter what it was. And just to give you one last nugget, when I was going to college, I got out of the Marine Corps, I did sales for like 7 years, and then I got sick. And I ended up having to get a surgery done, and I ended up dying on the operating table. Okay, I woke up in that ICU after 3 days, and I couldn't go back to my old job. But before I went in for that surgery, I went and I applied for my GI Bill to go to school, and then that's when I went to Sac City. So when I finally recovered from the surgery and being in the ICU and all that stuff, and I went to college, yeah, I met you after I had died, man. So on the operating table. So when I went to school, I already had that money from the GI Bill coming in, even though I was recovering from, my surgery and all that stuff. So even though I couldn't do the door-to-door I was doing prior to getting my surgery done, I had already set it up to where I had money already waiting for me when I was recovering to go start right back into college, or go into college and go to school, right? And then when I stopped going to Sac City, I seen a friend on Facebook, and I seen him going to like Puerto Rico or something like that. And I was like, dang fool, what do you do for a living? I hadn't talked to him since we played high school football together. And he was just like, didn't you go to the Marine Corps after high school? I was like, yeah. And he goes, what do you do now? And I was like, well, I was doing sales, but right now I'm going to college. And he goes, man, you're perfect for this job. And I ended up working for the Department of Defense with him for like 5 years, which was a traveling gig. Yeah, and I was making $6 to $10 grand a month off of traveling and seeing and going everywhere, and it was just off a whim, because it was kind of funny. Because he goes, "Well, do you mind if I, give your name to my boss?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't think nothing of it. This dude called me like 2 weeks later and was like, "Yeah, Jono, give me your number." Blah blah blah. This fool put like $4 grand in my account. Didn't even know who I was and trusted me that much. And he goes, "Yeah, and then I just need you to fly down to San Diego. I already bought you a plane ticket. Blah blah blah. You got to go down there, do a background thing, whatever." And everything cleared. And then I remember him calling me. He goes, "Well, you're hired." And I was like, "Well, I'm still going to college. It ends May 22nd. And he goes, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "I got you flying out June 1st with Jono." And I just got a job, and all I did was talk to an old friend. You know what I mean? And it was probably one of the best jobs I ever had, man. And I did that for like 5 years, and it was a Department of Defense job, And so, you just got to stay optimistic, man. Sometimes things will just fall in your lap, but it all comes with your mentality and being positive and believing like you could do more than where you're at. Like I was telling you earlier before we even started this earlier, man, there's some people that never even leave their block, man. And that was like my grandparents. My grandfather would just go to the store every day for like majority of his life for my grandma and us, and he never really traveled or did anything for years, So if you get the opportunity to do stuff like that, man, if you never leave your block, you never know what's out there in the world, man, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. I definitely I think that we should end it on that, because I think that's a beautiful gem, man. Is go see the world. If you have the opportunity, if there's any way, if you got to join the military, if an opportunity falls in your lap, go see the world. I mean, there's so much out there, and there's just so much inspiration, so much motivation. There's beautiful people. There's so many different cultures, so many different ways of living. There's just so much to learn and appreciate. And I guarantee you it'll make you a better person.
Yep. And if the military ain't for those people that are totally anti-military, they don't think that's the thing for them. Man, go do 1 year of door-to-door sales, man. You'll learn more about yourself and people in that 1 year than you probably will your whole life. And I was told that myself from somebody else. And sure enough, man, had I not did that door-to-door, man, I wouldn't be as good as I am with people or running businesses or anything had I not had that experience. That was a game changer for me too. And I did door-to-door for 7 years, man. So I'm just saying, try 1 year of door-to-door or any type of sales where you're dealing with people, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself and a lot about people.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm taking away from your experience, man, is just go do something, go try, go, whatever it is, just go try.
Ain't nobody gonna give it to you, man. Ain't nobody gonna give you nothing, bro.
Gotta go
nobody.
do it.
You gotta go out there and get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Well, thank you, Tone. I mean, this has been a great conversation, man. A lot of good advice, lots of gems in there. I already know, I'm lucky because I'm the one that you guys tell these things to, but I guarantee you there's somebody out there that's listening that's going to take something away from this as well. So thank you. I always end these interviews by saying that one person can change the world, but it's one person at a time, and that one person is you. If you got anything from this interview, please hit the like, subscribe, leave us a comment. And I'll make sure to put Tone's contact information in the description. If you ever want to reach out, you can. And yeah, man, stay tuned for more Grown Man Sessions. Much love, everybody.
Thank you, man. You have a good one, Tim.